Okay, it says we're live.
We're live. We're live. Hooray.
I'm going to check to make sure I see it. Can you look on Elk Rats Traders Facebook page?
We'll do that.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. We're getting ready for our show. It's going to be really great. For those of you who don't know, this 10 minutes before our show is actually our pre-chat green room. So if you guys ever want to be a part of something fun, this is literally like the way to be like hanging out with the cool kids before the show starts.
Yes.
It is. This is like all the prep stuff that we do right before the show. It says we're live on Facebook and it says we're live on.
We are.
Yeah.
We are live on.
Yeah. Live on both. I didn't check Elk Rock yet.
Yeah, I'm on Elk Rock. We're live.
On YouTube too?
I haven't checked YouTube yet.
Yep, it says it's live. I just double checked it.
Oh, you did?
So,
okay. All right.
I need to set the timer. Jeez, this is the kind of stuff that I'm not used to doing because James does this usually.
Right.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Well, this is actually fun because it's just us now. James who? James, you know James?
I've heard that name. I think it's like a bad word or something. I mean, not like as bad as the F word, but it's the J word.
The J word. Oh my goodness.
The J word.
Hey guys, don't say the J word.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. Okay, if you guys can do me a favor, share our show on your Facebook pages or your feeds or whatever, because of course sharing is caring.
And we care that you share.
Yes, I know, right?
Yep.
I'm doing it right now.
Very quiet in my room. I have no cats.
Yeah, so we came up with a really cool combination of discussion for this night. Have you guys seen our little video, our little preview image? We're going to be talking about Comic-Con and quilting. It's such a good combination. I'm telling you, I can't believe no one has done it before.
180 degrees between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's just craziness. Are you able to share this onto I guess what I can do is I can tag James in my post that I just made.
Oh, I shared it on Elk Rack.
Oh yeah, well it is on Elk Rack already, but I'm going to share this on his I'll tag James on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then it'll go on his feed. Let's see. Edit post. We'll do this public because my posts generally are never public. I'm saying the J word on the keyboard.
It's okay as long as it doesn't come through your lips.
Okay, that's not the same. It's like you can type it as much as you want, and it's not swearing.
Right.
Okay. That is the official word from the mom. You can swear as long as it's typing, not saying.
Because, our message programs don't recognize it. And so it doesn't just do little asterisks after the J.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my goodness. I can't believe another Friday night has happened.
Friday's here.
I know. It's just the summer is just melting away, isn't it? I mean, next week it's already going to be my birthday month.
Your birthday month, okay?
Yeah, my birthday month.
I ignore mine because it is on a horrible day. The worst day you could possibly have.
So your birthday is on the worst day you possibly could have?
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Income
sorry.
tax day.
Oh, that is a terrible birthday. At
If
least
somebody had told me, I would have waited a day.
well, the thing is, nobody can't say they can't remember your birthday.
Yeah, but nobody can afford to do anything. They can't even afford to buy a card.
Oh my goodness. Well, you could tell them like, I don't need you to buy me a card. Make me one. I like crafty things.
I have a sister that actually does that.
Cool.
And she made me one. I'll have to show it to you real fast.
Cool. Yeah.
Because it's appropriate because I have cats.
Mm. Oh my goodness. Well, we're gonna have to show that card when our
Is that not the most precious thing?
That's very cute.
The
So
black and
Maya,
gray, the two appropriate colors.
so Maya is asking when's your birthday, and all I have to say is Maya, you will always remember Vicky's birthday because all you need to think is tax day is Vicky's birthday.
You just
Anytime
go, oh my God, it's tax day.
Anytime taxes are due, that is Vicky's birthday.
Yeah. Well, I think the only other day that could be worse is I had a horse that was born on April the 1st. So we named him Fool's Reward.
You know, I did have a dog that was actually born on April Fool's Day. And she was a really cool dog. That was Belle, my first dog.
Uh-huh.
She was actually born on April Fool's Day.
Hmm.
She almost lived, I think she almost lived to be 14.
Oh, wow, that's good.
She was a Shetland sheepdog, and she was like 13, and like she only had like a couple weeks, and then it was going to be her 14th birthday. I mean, it wasn't her chosen day, but we had to put her down because she couldn't walk anymore. So,
yeah. Well, my dog that I just loved that I had to put down about a year and a half ago now, she was born on 3/31/13.
Oh, okay.
And it was an Easter Sunday.
I'll be right back. I have to help Mom with her audio so she can listen in.
Okay. All righty. So who else has a favorite pet that was born on a special day? Or did it become a special day because that's the day the pet was born? I actually had a horse, my mare, foaled on my sister Goldie's birthday. And so I felt obligated to give the colt to her. It was a black and white paint colt. And when he was about 2 months old, he bit her and she gave him back to me. And that was one of the happiest days of my life. She says, I don't want him. You can have him back.
Aww.
Which was great with me. We finally sold him and we saw him in movies. We sold him to a company that provided animals for movies. And he was always an Indian horse.
Oh, that's cool.
He was a gorgeous black and white paint. His name was Rebel Run.
Hold on. So my mom's coming back. Hold on.
Yay. Uh-oh. Problem.
Mom has to leave before I turn the sound back on. Otherwise, we're going to get like an echoing, repeating.
Oh, right.
She's like, I don't know why it's turning off every time I come listen. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I can't believe though. It's already like almost. We're already through July practically, and then August is next week, and then already it's the fall. Oh my God! It's just the years are just feeling like they're going faster.
My sister posted a thing and she said, hooray, the burr months are almost here, meaning September, October, November. But those are also the months that it's cooling down and they live in the Midwest. And so it is like burr.
Okay, my mom's back again. Okay, I will be back.
Okay.
So my mom is definitely having some technical issues.
And we have 13, 12,
Oh,
10,
8, 9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
3,
2.
1. Woohoo! Start the
Yay!
show.
Start the show.
Whoops. See, this is why James is around. He does this stuff for us. Okay. It's time for Late Night Craft Talk with Savea Kamori-Eng and Vicky Hermes. What happened when a dog went to the flea circus? He stole the show. Let's get the show going. Okay. Hello. Oh, I have
We're all
Wendy.
here. Wendy's here.
Yeah, I didn't mean to put Wendy in there. So Wendy is here. She's going to be back in just a moment. But yeah, so we welcome you to our show. We do the show every week and we stream it live on Facebook and YouTube. And sometimes we have to pre-record, but generally we try to do it live as often as we can. We love audience participation. We have a lot of fun things that we try to talk about and get through. And we do our best to follow our format, but sometimes we like to go crazy and do our tangents of talking on whatever. So if you do like our show, please like and subscribe because you will get notifications of when we're going live, when we're going to have our show. But you can always count on us to have a show at 10 p.m. at Friday nights, Pacific Standard Time. And that's our show. So Vicky, do you have any information you'd like to share about Elk Rack Traders today?
Well, I think I've got about one more week where we're not out at Palm Springs Village Fest. And then we're back in August, the second week of August, when it's hot and humid. And then we have a rodeo at the end of September, and we have Verona on Memorial Weekend. What's going on with you guys?
Well, a couple things have been going on. My mom is still working on getting over her healing, and that kind of affects how much time I can be working at the store. So I'm doing my best. We have been my mom, she is having problems getting onto this thing again. So she keeps bringing her phone over to me to try to get this to go working. But we are planning on going to Verona. That is assuming that everything is going to be, assuming everything is okay and she's okay with going to the powwow and all that. So, I mean, I'm hoping that we can be at Verona. That's kind of a little bit of a maybe now at this point because I am concerned that she's not going to be able to be there to participate in the show, and I need her to participate in the show. I just put it on YouTube, Mom, so you can turn the volume on. I turn the volume down because I don't want you to do a double sound thing. I don't know why she's having a hard time with Facebook. But basically, that's the one thing that might change, but we're trying to hope that, crossing our fingers, that it's going to happen. We have the bead shop hop coming up. That's a lot of fun. We're getting ready for it. And all I have to say is I'm going to drop a little hint, but this is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else. Okay. So that's the hint. And I'm not supposed to give anyone any hints at all. And I just dropped a hint.
So I hope everyone was paying attention.
Yes, that was a hint. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else about it. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything. But today I sent out all of the cards, like the pre-registration cards and save the date cards for this year. They're all out to all the stores. And so pretty much I think starting tomorrow, the stores are going to have that information. It's all on our website. I will share the website. I'm going to share the website in the chat. And it's going to be a link directly to it, so you can find out more information about the Shop Hop. It is an event where we have 9 stores participating, and it is something we've been doing for 12 years now. So it's definitely a really fun event. People go crazy. It's like a total of 6 days, and you can win prizes, and there's different promotional purchases, gifts with purchases, make and takes, all kinds of things, trunk shows, all kinds of things. So definitely, if you are available the first weekend after Labor Day, so I believe it's 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the 13th, 14th, and 15th. I don't have the information in front of me, but it's 100% a fun event, and all the stores theme up and do all kinds of fun things. So definitely look into that. All right. So, do we want to talk about James? I know it's the J word.
Well, he's still out on the river.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give everyone an update?
He says he called today, and he was saying that everybody's super friendly with him. And I said, that's because you aren't driving a car that has a California plate on it.
Yes.
Because those people up there don't like Californians. But anyway, everybody's been friendly. One day last week, the campsite was right next to the fairgrounds, and there was a fair going on, a little county fair. And they went over there and looked at the rides and stuff like that. And then they had a performer that was a pretty good singer, and so James went to sleep rocking to the music of the band performing at the fair. It's been pretty hot up there. It was 108 yesterday, and they camp on, well, they don't have sandbars up there. They have gravel bars, and it was so hot that the ground was like laying on an oven. So he said he took 5 buckets of water before he got the ground wet enough that it wasn't like sitting in an oven. It was much better today. It was in the 80s. So that's like a little over 20 degrees cooler than it was a couple days ago. It's unusual to have it so hot up there. Anyway, he's still having a good time. He was very happy today because they were coming up to a diversion dam where it diverts water out to farmland. And they built a kind of a bypass for the fish to swim upstream. And they were able to kayak it, so they didn't have to unload their boats and portage all their stuff and all their boats. They were able to just paddle around the diversion dam. So that was a good thing, because to do when you have to portage everything, it's about a 3-hour job and a lot of walking. And yesterday they got into a town called Miles City, I believe it was, and he had mailed himself a resource box that had his food for the last of the trip, and he just mails it to general delivery, and it's a mile walk into town to get to the post office. So he had a nice little hike after sitting in the kayak all day. Anyway, so it sounds like he's having a good time. He did all the research. He knew exactly what was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
No surprises, except the heat.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, that's the update on James, the J word.
Yes.
We can just say J word. We don't even have to say his name.
That's right. That's right.
J word.
Because, we don't want to get in trouble.
I have an idea. I think that everyone on the show, all of our fans, when J word comes back, they should say, "Hey, J word, what's up?"
Hey, J word. New name. I love it.
Name, J word.
Well, he said he watched last week's show, and he actually wasn't upset that I'm Employee of the Month. Which is my
See?
title now, if you notice.
Yeah. Yes, this is very
Backwards.
true. Yes, this is
No, that
100.
way.
Yeah.
Everything's backwards.
Do it this way.
Got
Yeah,
it.
it's in reverse. I know it's weird. I know when James is
It was
like,
a
hey,
pointer finger. It wasn't any other finger.
because James, when he's on that side, he's like, hey, because like when I'm actually pointing to your screen, like I'm looking right now, I have to say this, and that's your screen is actually like right here. Okay. So
All
then
right.
when he's like, hey, punching me, I'll be like, you're the reverse way, because if I was doing it this way, going backwards, it's weird. So this has been so much fun. You've been doing a great job.
No, thank you.
Too bad James can't just like hang back.
Well, no, I need him for a few things.
Okay. No, I'm saying for our show.
Oh, for the show.
We could tell him, hey,
Well,
you know, Svea liked me a lot better than you as a co-host.
I could, I could put a lock on his bedroom door and have it where I lock him in. And I can put bars on the windows so he can't get out. I'm going to take up a collection, everybody, to put bars on his windows.
Yeah. So make it like, so he can be locked in, so you can control that he can't come out at certain times of the day.
You'll probably hear banging on the door, and screaming, but
hey, let me out. Okay. All right. So today we wanted to talk about some cool stuff going on in San Diego. For those of you who don't know, Comic-Con's actually this weekend. It started 2 days ago. So Friday has already wrapped up and it started on Tuesday. Tuesday is a preview night, and the Comic-Con convention starts as a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and it's in San Diego, and it is like the biggest Comic-Con. They have them in several locations, and we have one of our friends of the show, Wendy. She's going to come on, and she's been to a lot of Comic-Cons. I have too, but I really am excited to hear what she has to say about things that are fun to do for Comic-Con. So with not much time to waste, we're adding Wendy to the show.
Wendy.
Hello, Wendy.
Hi. How is everybody?
We're doing good. Oh my goodness. It's the summer. It's the time of year when Comic-Con happens. So it's definitely lots of people are coming into town now.
Yeah. It sounds like you should have had Maya on, because she said she went, and I'm like,
yeah, I know. I saw that. Well, I know Maya's shy. I know she's a shy girl. So, but I saw her photos of Comic-Con. A lot of people don't know. There's a lot of things that you can do for Comic-Con where you don't have to actually get tickets, because it can be very difficult to get tickets for Comic-Con. I myself tried. The last time I went was in 2015. I just tried the next year for 2016, and I didn't even get through. So I gave up. I'm like, geez, whatever.
Yeah. Well, getting into San Diego is hard, because I always tell people, I said, have you ever watched Big Bang Theory? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, remember the one where they're all sitting in the living room on their laptops going refresh, 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 refresh. I said, that's kind of how it is, because it is so huge to get into. It's a kind of a lottery thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. And a lot of people, there's ways to get in. There's several ways actually to get in where you don't have to worry about a ticket. You can volunteer to work at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah.
You can get tickets for free. Hello.
Right.
But there's also different organizations or different groups you can work for during the Comic-Con, so that you can get in with a badge for you can go and get a badge for the exhibitor's badge, or even if you know someone that has a press pass, you can get in that way, or not. Yeah. Oh, Maya just gave me some information I didn't know. This is how long it's been since I've been to Comic-Con. Wednesday night is now preview night. So that means it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which makes sense, because if they add one day, people will pay for that extra day to go. And they already set up anyway.
Yeah, because San Diego is just so huge, because They went from San Diego Comic-Con, and then like I go to Phoenix, and when I first started going to Phoenix Comic-Con, they were allowed to call it Phoenix Comic-Con. Well, then San Diego came out and said, "Oh, nope, nobody can use the word Comic-Con except for us." And now I noticed that you know, in the interim they've tagged on international. But it's so huge. You have to really plan. You have to go on, you know, if you do get in, you know, you hit their website, hit Reddits or whatever you can hit and find out what the big things are, because there's just no way you can hit everything.
Yeah, because even when I would go to Comic-Con, it's like at the same time, every hour there is a different panel in like 30 or 40 different rooms. There's no way you're going to be able to go to everything the entire time. And there's is it still called Hall A?
Yeah, Hall H.
Hall H. CHA sounds the same.
Yeah, close.
So Hall H is the biggest room that they have.
Right.
And they have the most attendance in that room. And people literally will just stay in there all day. They won't even leave, because if they leave, they won't be able to get back in.
Right.
And so it's kind of crazy. I think that they at one point never had a bathroom in there, and they never had a food, like a concessions in there. And it got to be so bad that people couldn't leave because they had to go to the bathroom, and then they needed to go get food, and then they had to leave and they didn't want to. So they actually did have to add a bathroom and concessions to Hall H, because
oh wow,
will not leave. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to sometimes. And then like it depends on, you know, which con you go to and how they run those panels. Because like sometimes at Phoenix they will clear the hall. And you know, and everybody's got to get out, and then you got to get back in line again. And sometimes you don't, and you can stay in there all day. And but I'm like, I don't know if I could stay in the same room all day. There's just too much to see and do, and I mean, geez, any fandom you can think of is there.
I know there's something for everyone, though, isn't there? Because you have sci-fi, so James would totally have Star Trek things for sure. So James would totally love it because of all the Star Trek stuff. They have Star Wars stuff. Oh shoot, J word. Star Wars stuff, and they have cartoons, and they have anime, and they have movies. I mean, they have TV shows. They have everything.
Yeah, real science. Because like Phoenix has real science, you know, so if you wanted to hit if you want to learn some stuff, you can even learn some stuff. And there's just so much. Even at Phoenix is smaller, but because it only takes up one building of the convention center now. And then on the other building they have is all games, you know, board games, Dungeons and Dragons type games, video games, that kind of thing. But it takes up one whole building, and so it's smaller, but still there's just no way. Like I was telling you earlier, my son and I, when we go, they have an app for their so it's got the map, it's got the schedule of events, and you can make your own schedule. You can scroll through it and say, oh, I want to go to that, and you click on it, and it adds it to your schedule. And then we add like one or two more things just in case something, because sometimes things get canceled at the last minute, you know, like, you know, flights and things. Because like when we went to this last time we went to Phoenix, we were supposed to see Alan Tudyk on Friday, but it got canceled because his plane had gotten canceled. And he had to spend a night in the city he was in, and then come in the next day. So, you know, stuff always happens. So, you know, you always want to pick backups just in case you can't get it, or their line's too long and you're like, oh, I don't think I'm going to get in that. And so I'm going to try something else.
Yeah. And sometimes it's good just to go and check out. If it looks interesting, just go check it out. I actually, one of the times that I went to, it was one of the side rooms. It wasn't ballroom 20. It was like one of the side rooms. And it was about this comic book that Will I Am was working on it. And I don't know if you guys know who Will I Am is. He's actually the lead singer for Black Eyed Peas. And it was really interesting because he is really intelligent, like super duper intelligent. And I mean, I would think most rappers or musicians, they're not necessarily like, I don't see them as being like very intellectual, right? But this guy was talking about, I mean, just he was so put together with his words and how he expressed himself. And he was talking about these nonprofits he was working on and all this stuff. And it was really cool. I was like, this is so it wasn't a panel I necessarily was interested in, but I was like, oh, let me just go check it out. And I learned about something that's totally different and unique. So Maya said here she has a really good thing to suggest. She says you can volunteer for 3 hours and have the rest of the day to enjoy the con. But it's hard to get in. It's crazy.
Right.
Jeez, because they want to basically get people in. They're going to show up and not just flake. And says you can volunteer all of the days, but it's a process. And she missed the second application, so she missed out on volunteering. Well, maybe next year you can do it. But yeah, so when we were saying there's something for everybody, there's TV panels, there's movie panels, there's major. So Hall H has like mega things. So I saw they had the Doctor Who panel in there.
I know. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch that later on YouTube.
Was there a panel this year?
Yes, with the new doctor.
Oh my gosh, I totally want to watch it.
Oh my gosh. No, the 15th doctor.
Yeah, I really like him. He's really good. I actually got to see, I was trying to go to the Doctor Who panels when I was there, and I actually got to see a little bit of the Doctor Who panel with Clara and Peter Capaldi.
Oh, wow.
And that girl, Clara Oswald. Forgot her name. But it was really interesting because they were saying, oh, we're getting into our groove. And I'm just like, and they kept saying that. And I was like, okay, I guess that's like their kind of approach of how they want their actors to talk about how their chemistry isn't very good together. But it was really cool. And actually, I'll tell you guys like a really embarrassing thing that happened to me at the Comic-Con in Hall H. So I went up to ask a question, and I'm sure there's video of it somewhere. And this was for the panel Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
Oh, I love that book.
And all of the actors were there. And, I'm a Doctor Who fan. So what do you think I'm going to ask? Okay, Matt Smith was on the panel. And, of course, they ask you, like, oh, what's your question? They want to know before you go up there.
Right.
And so I tell them, they're like, okay, good. So you can be next. And so I'm just nervous. I have all these people watching me in Hall H, and I have this question to ask, and I feel myself getting really red, and I'm having a hard time breathing a little bit, I'm like, good. For all these people. And I said, okay. I said, this question is for Matt Swift. All they're laughing, and I'm like, oh my god, okay. Matt Smith. And I was like, can you tell me how has your experience been working on a movie feature versus working in television feature? And so that was my question. But I was terribly embarrassed because everyone started laughing at me because I said Matt Swift. Oh, I said Matt Swift. Matt Swift. And what would have been really funny is that if Matt Smith started dating Taylor Swift at this time, and then I would have been like, oh my gosh, how funny. Anyway. But one of the I did go to a panel where it was at Ballroom 20. And it was for the Once cast.
Mm-hmm.
So almost all of the cast was there. Like almost the entire cast was there. And The one thing I was going to ask, and I didn't get a chance to ask it. I think there was something about, I was going to ask the queen about her really being good or bad. I had a really good question, and I kind of was too nervous to go and ask it. And I should have, because once doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Well, it's like the question that drives me crazy, and I'm like, why did you waste your one opportunity on this question? Is did you think whatever show movie was going to be as big as it is? And I'm like, they never do. Just wait for the question.
Though, sometimes when you go up there and you don't have a question, they'll give you questions you can ask, which is nice because sometimes you get nervous. And so I think that's pretty cool. At least you can go up and ask a question. But yeah, like we've seen some amazing. So in regards to Comic-Con, it's kind of cool because you get the opportunity to see behind the scenes of all these amazing TV shows, movies, comics, cartoons, everything. And
you can meet authors and artists. It's just nice. We have a really good relationship with an local author down there in Phoenix. She's been writing this series of books, and Ron and I started out when her first Comic-Con appearance in Phoenix, and we've been getting her books, and she remembers us every year. We walk up to her booth, and she goes, "Ron, Wendy," and we're like, "How in the world?" Because this is not the only time she's out in the world. Okay, they didn't just let her out for that one weekend once a year. I'm like, how in the world does she remember us every year? But it's a lot of fun. You can get pictures with your with your stars. It may cost some money, but
that's kind of. I think that's kind of.
I don't do it all the time, but I had gone to Star Trek Con back in 2015, 2016, because it was the 50th year anniversary, and Ron went with me, and they were doing pictures, but they were so expensive because it was in Vegas, of course. So it was so expensive, and I'm like, no, we've already spent enough money here. And so, and of course, William Shatner was there along with,
Wow.
Yeah, Nichelle Nichols, Lieutenant Uhura. So many of them were there. And the cool thing about Star Trek convention in Vegas is the stars are out there in the exhibit hall with a table right there, and they're not hidden away like they are at most Comic-Cons where you don't see them unless they come out for the panel or out for the photos. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty neat. But then William Shatner came year before last, I think it was, to Phoenix. And I said, and it was cheaper. And I'm like, I am doing it this time because he was my first Star Trek captain.
Oh.
And I was kind of like you when you were asking your question. I was like, I told Ron, I said, please don't let me act like a goober when I get up there next to him. And I was so proud of myself because I came out and I was so proud of myself that I didn't like totally fan, girl all over him. That would have been embarrassing. And then I went to his panel.
If I saw David Tennant and in person, if I saw him and David Tennant, I would for one thing, I'd hug him and be like, "Oh my gosh, I know this is so inappropriate, but I just want to hug you." And then I may not even be able to talk. I don't even know if I could say that, even though I would totally want to say that. But anyway,
I was like that. I was like, la, 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 la. I said, don't let me babble. Don't let me fangirl. If I look like I'm going to pass out, punch me. Because he was my first captain, and he's still around and he's still doing stuff. Because even non Comic-Con related, he did that show with I can't think of his name, but the guy that played Fonzie, Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, it's like the three old guys, and they're doing crazy things, right?
Yeah, they're going all over the world and doing it. Oh my gosh, that was just hilarious. And he was like, he could out hike all those guys, and they were younger than him. And I'm like, dude, you're the man.
Yeah. So, but it's really it's fun to do. It's
oh yeah.
And and I didn't know about it. It's funny. My husband Dan's like, "Hey, let's go to Comic-Con." It's like, "What's Comic-Con?" Don't worry, you'll find something you'll like there. I'm like, "Really?" And so after we went that one time, I'm like, this is fun. But it's like that was when it's a lot easier to get tickets. Now, just geez.
Yeah,
But
you have to find the smaller ones sometimes, because the big three is San Diego, New York, and Dragon Con down in Atlanta. And those are like they're all three about the same to get into. They're almost impossible unless you volunteer or this or that. They're almost impossible to get into. But there are so many, especially in Southern California. I mean, even down in LA, they've got a specific one just for the stormtroopers, the stormtrooper con, and they've got all kinds of other different cons too that do not come to mind right away, but they have like anime cons. Ontario's doing a new
Doctor Who one.
Yes.
It's called Gallifrey 1, and it's in the Hilton at LAX. And it's like a huge deal. Like that is the ultimate Doctor Who convention to go to. So yeah. But
you can find smaller ones, all around to go to, and they're cheaper. They're not as hard to get into, because like Phoenix, except for maybe Saturday, because it goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Except for maybe Saturday, you can still buy it. You can walk up and buy a ticket. So, some of the smaller, it may be, for somebody that just wants to get introduced to it, going to a smaller one where you can just walk up and get a ticket. Because like Palm Springs, before the pandemic, started doing one, and it was great because it was only $25 a day. Yeah, that's what, 2 lattes at Starbucks.
Right.
That was right before the pandemic, right? And then everything kind of just got messed up from that. And this Maya said that WonderCon in Los Angeles, she was going to go, but then COVID hit and she had to cancel. So
yeah.
But so one of the things that a lot of people do at the cons is they dress up.
Yes.
Tell us about that, Wendy.
I dress up. Ron does on
Wendy
occasion.
dressed up.
I dressed up.
You wear the clown outfit?
No, I did not. One of these days I will.
And go back to Walmart?
I'm gonna get some more face paint. No, I've dressed up as a character from the Witcher video game. I've dressed up as characters from Firefly. I've done Squirrel Girl, which I think people have seen me on the show before as Squirrel Girl.
Yes, we have.
And it's kind of fun, and a lot of people can spend hundreds of dollars, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just gonna make mine, because it's just 3 days, and I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be a cosplay star at my age, or my budget, more to say my budget. But yeah, just fun dressing up, even if you just paint your face, you get any character you want to. And then people started doing mashups of taking 2 characters and blending it. And it's just great. And I love seeing families going as like the Incredibles or the Flintstones, or the whole family dresses as a theme. And I'm like, yes, the family that cosplays together stays together.
Awesome. I'm trying to get rid of something right now. We had a comment I want to get rid of right now. I'm trying to get rid of it. I can't. Okay. All right. So it's a lot of fun to dress up. People do it all the time. And it's also fun to go to Comic-Con just to watch people.
Oh, yes.
You can go and sit on a bench or sit somewhere, bring a folding chair and just sit outside and watch all the crazy that happens outside.
Yeah, because even like especially at San Diego, because it's set up to where people will do a lot of posing and actual acting. Like this year, I was watching earlier, they had Mario and Luigi like in little go-karts, and they were like they had them like a little area fenced off for them, where they could just like zoom around in their little carts, like Mario Kart racing, and like they were chasing people down, and a lot can go on just for sitting out there and watching.
Yeah, it's fun because there's so much, and I really would have liked to have gone in the last couple years with Stranger Things going on because they've did some really cool stuff with Stranger Things. And I know that there's a lot of outside things that you can do that are not a part of Comic-Con that are free to do. So let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Maya said, the free zone is very cool. There's a lot of free things you can do because many times people can't get in, they can't get tickets. And so many times also, like the studio they're not able to afford to go to Comic-Con and actually have a panel because they have to pay for those panels. And basically they'll rent out a ballroom in the hotel next over, and they'll have a panel there. And so that's kind of cool because it's not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to have a Comic-Con badge to go. And there's a bunch of really cool things. And like I said, there's a lot of actors and a lot of things, people in town for these Comic-Con situations. So they do a lot of fun things. And I just saw something pop up on my computer. They said there's a Deadpool drone show in San Diego.
Yes, it's on YouTube. It is awesome. Yeah, even if you don't like Comic-Con stuff, just to check out the drone show is amazing.
That is really cool. I know. Then the drone shows are kind of neat. That's a new thing that's been kind of popping up here and there. But I think you had a little critter crawling behind you, Vicki.
I do.
Yes, I did. On my desk.
She's gonna help Vicki with her quilting.
Yes, I know, right?
Oh, they have been. Trust me. And sometimes you get down. Matter of fact, the other day, I have a little ironing board with a little bitty iron, and one of them got it on the end of the ironing board, and their weight caused him to get the ironing board to launch him off into the closet.
So they literally did it.
He landed on the ground, and he's like, "What did you do to me?" Stupid animals.
Mm-hmm. So, but there's a lot of cool stuff. So definitely, and I think there's a lot of things you can watch on YouTube if you can't get in, which is really nice. You can look at a lot of the different panels on YouTube, and that's a good way to also see the video because, like we were saying, not everyone can get in just because the admission is hard to get. But I know people that they're like, I'm asking for that time off. I'm 100% going to Comic-Con. I will not work during Comic-Con weekend. I mean, they are 100% at Comic-Con the entire time. It's kind of fun.
That's me in Phoenix. They know it worked now. Isn't it time for you to go to Phoenix? Yes, it is. Bye.
Yeah. So I'm going
to
be
here.
Out of town for a bit. Yeah. I just realized it's getting hot in here. It's already at 79 at the pitch of 75. I have 2 sickies in here.
79.
I know. I can't handle it. Yeah. It's too hot. It's like,
I wish I could get down to 79. I talked to James earlier, the J word earlier today, and I told him, I said, yeah, I decided that between last year and this year, it's too humid now, and I can't do just straight swamp cooler. I'm going to have to get a mini split because I have not been able to get down under 80 yet.
Wow.
A mini split is the bomb.
That's what he was telling me.
We put one in James's office because after we put the new air conditioner in, they said, because it's getting hotter, we had to have a bigger unit, which like there's this monster outside of his office window. And it just was hot in there all the time. And we can't leave the door open because the cats get in there and he has a lot of his stuff like, they grab a feather that he just spent, quite a bit of money for, and he's going to turn into an expensive fan. And here comes a cat trotting out like, look what I got.
Oh, yeah.
Or they loved it. The one cat has figured out, we have one of those plastic the drawers, and he has rabbit furs in there and then scraps of rabbit fur. And one of the cats has figured out that if we have the drawer closed, she can get in behind that cabinet and get rabbit furs out. And she gets it, and then she starts making this like a lion sort of sound, like I've got my prey. I kill something. I'm dragging
Look
it
what I
somewhere.
did.
Gosh, how funny.
Which is what the other day I woke up. I think there was noise going on, and as soon as it got quiet, it woke me up about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I went, and here's 3 cats in the kitchen, and they're all 3 looking the same direction in a corner. So I turn on the light, and here's this mouse that they tortured to death.
Oh no.
So they're forever doing that. And they have figured out they can get like lizards and stuff and go jump in the bathtub, and the lizard can't get away. And there's like 3 or 4 cats, and they're fighting over getting into the bathtub. And it sounds like the bathtub is being removed from the house through the wall.
My gosh.
And they're out there chasing these. Yeah, they're entertaining.
Speaking of lizards, I had a little baby lizard in my backyard. There's baby lizards right now. And I got these really cute. It was like, what the heck is this? There's the cutest little baby lizards.
I have several that have taken up residence around the outside of my house.
They're only, let me pause this. They're only about this one. It's only about, let me pause it. You can see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's only about maybe 2.5 inches, 3 inches max. And normally they're like, with their tail and all, they're like 8 inches. They're super cute.
So these are just babies, huh?
Oh yeah, they're I've seen maybe 3 or 4 little ones. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look how cute. And I was following. I'm like, look how cute you are. So
at my house, I say, look how cute you were.
Yeah, right.
So Wendy. Wendy.
The other name that ends in a Y?
Yes. Vicky.
She's the W word.
So okay. So we talked about Comic-Con. And so now let's talk about quilting a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a weird combination, but you know what? It's fun. And when J Word's around,
We don't get to have fun.
if I tried to suggest Comic-Con and quilting, J Word would say, what? That's not fun. So, Vicky, I was looking, I didn't see those. I just sent me an email with some pictures. Again.
Yes, I did.
Did you send it to my?
No, I didn't email it to you. I put it on Google Drive.
Okay, right. I'm gonna go to Google Drive.
I think there's about 4 of them.
Okay.
Ooh, yay.
So if you want to tell everyone about what we were going to talk about, because you know about it, what your project is you're working on.
I volunteered. My granddaughter-in-law just became an aunt. Her brother and sister-in-law had a baby girl, which they named Autumn, and she's a cute little thing. They live out in Rhode Island. And so I asked her if she'd like to make a quilt. And she just jumped at the opportunity. The theme for the nursery is Winnie the Pooh.
Aww.
So we went to some quilt shops, and the colors were too bright. And I'm not pushing Hobby Lobby, but they had absolutely the perfect fabrics. And so we got them. And we took a piece of fabric that I have laying here, all planned. Now I don't know where I laid it. Anyway,
You probably laid it and the cats got it.
No, the cats haven't got that. I just have it in some goofy place. Anyway, it's a piece of material, and it has little scenes of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and Tigger on it, and Eeyore. And so what you do is it's called fussy cut, and you just cut around the little picture that you want in the center of your square. And so we did that. And then, you see that okay? That's,
yeah.
I can never get it quite right. There's one of the squares that I've done with little Tigger in it. And I love the material that we found around the edges.
Yeah.
The honeycomb. I think
Yeah.
that's just so cute. And the different blocks have different colors. And I found out there's a term called prairie tips. And that's where you sew this on and then it's actually loose. It isn't flat. Anyway, so I have several, well, there's going to be 9 of these squares, and then they're going to be tied together with sashing. And this material here is the sashing. It'll go between the squares. And you cut all these little pieces. There was some that I cut, like these little pieces here in the corner. Those are 1 1/4 inch squares.
Okay, guys, I'm going to show you a close-up of that image of the different squares.
Right. There's I have 3 more to make there, but there's those. So the sashing goes in between the honeycomb. But because there's so many, and I don't want to get confused, I use sticky notes, and it labels what my, we numbered our fabrics on our pattern book, and then we have the number of the fabric and then the size of it, because like the honeycomb ones, there's 2 different sizes. You cut a short one for the top, where you just sew the top and the bottom. So, and then you sew the sides on, and the sides are like this, and that makes the square. And then the sashing will go in between, and then we have a striped material, and this is going to be the back of the quilt, and it's flannel.
Oh, nice.
Is that not the cutest thing?
Oh, that's cute.
It is.
Well, a lot of
so
people.
I had so much fun with Lauren, my granddaughter-in-law, and shopping and going to quilt stores, and it's been a lot of fun. She's going to come over. I'm doing the quilt, the squares, and then she's going to come over and do the others. But so here's one of these little squares that I sewed on that's 1 1/4 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then you trim the tip off, and then you fold it back and iron it, and that's what it looks like.
Oh.
And then you baste these little prairie tips on there, and then when you sew the material on, then it flips back over like that onto the honeycomb material.
Wow.
So it's kind of intricate. Anyway, I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm. So,
and it's just another bonding thing with my granddaughter-in-law.
Yeah. My Vicki and I were talking about it. A lot of people, and I myself included, they don't realize that quilting actually can be pretty simple, and it can look really complex, because a lot of, like, you can do strip quilting, which one of my neighbors, Lorraine, she's passed away, but she was this really creative lady. Let me tell you, this lady was so creative. From the day that I moved in, like, we always would talk about crafts and crafting and whatnot, and she would actually quilt, and she would do the strip quilting where she would literally cut like a 3-inch strip, and she would sew another 2 strips together. So she'd have this long piece. She'd iron it flat, and she could take a rotary cutter and she would cut them, and then she would skew them, and then she would make this really intricate, very intricate quilt by doing the strip quilting. And she could do
That's a rotary cutter.
Yeah, and so she could totally knock out a quilt and get a quilt top done in less than a week. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's like amazing that she could do something so quickly like that. Where did Wendy go? I see Colonel Mustard. Colonel Mustard!
Colonel Mustard.
Colonel Mustard, what are you doing?
He felt left out.
I have Whitefoot over here on my bed here beside me, but he has laid down. He's decided not to visit me. Maybe if I held the cat up, that Colonel Mustard would be barking at the cat.
He doesn't bark too much. It was funny because when I pulled my Tribble out earlier, when it started doing this little purring, he didn't know what in the heck to do with that. He was like, he was
That's
so confused. He was like,
That's funny. But yeah, I just made some really cool quilts that way. So if you guys ever want to learn quilting, it's really not as difficult as it sounds, really. And
go ahead.
we're talking, Vicki and I were talking about it, about quilting and where it kind of originated from.
It was poor people, and they needed blankets, and they took clothing that was worn out, but they would, parts of, like your jeans or whatever wears out, but there's other parts that are good, and they cut squares and sewed it together so they could have blankets. Dolly Parton sings a song about the coat of many colors, and basically that was the same thing. It was poor people stuff, and it certainly isn't anymore. There's a website called Missouri Star Quilt Company, and if you get online, they have, you can't imagine the fabrics. And the lady there, she and her daughter, I mean, they make so many quilts, they just like whip them out, and here I am, fretting over getting my little iron, which is, I have a little tiny ironing board, and now I found this just recently, and I love it. It's bigger and better than a regular sized iron. It's a little iron.
yeah.
I can press my little seams. But what I normally do is not sew on fabric. My fabric sewing machine doesn't get used that much. It's off over in the corner usually. I usually have, this is 5 mil suede, cow suede. And then I buy squares of hair-on cowhide. And this is actually the steer's hair still on the hide. That's the back of the hide. And here's one where I've cut out knife sheath covers. And I have a machine over here called a walking foot sewing machine. And a regular sewing machine, it just has a feed dog underneath the foot. But with a walking foot, it walks the leather through.
And the bottom,
and you have to have a special kind of thread called, well, it's for leather, and it actually slices a hole into the leather. It isn't just poke a hole through, because you can't poke holes in leather. And what I make, because James makes all these knives, like this is a little bitty knife sheath, and I have bigger knife sheaths. I have one over here.
Showing you guys all
for the bigger knives.
Yeah.
And most of his knives he naps are the same size, but every so often he gets off a little bit. So I always save cereal boxes and cracker boxes and things like that, because I need a heavier cardboard to cut out my patterns. So I have a whole bag full of patterns, and I, tried to organize them and name them, and number them or whatever, and finally gave up on that. I just lay them out until I figured out. And here's my cat trying to steal the hair-on cowhide and carry it off. I have to keep it away from the cats. I have a drawer that I keep that stuff in.
Yeah, see.
So
these little kitties.
My little room is I have a large office desk. No, don't do that. And I have my 3 sewing machines on it. I have my walking foot sewing machine, I have my regular sewing machine, and I have a serger. And sometimes I can clear a little bit of room and like sign cards or something like that. But that's my sewing machine.
Yeah. So for those of you guys who don't know what the difference of a feed dog is and a walking foot, so feed dog has a foot that pushes the fabric like this.
And it
So
has like little teeth in it.
Yeah,
So
it like the thing where it kind of pushes the fabric, versus a walking foot is like it has a wheel, so it just rolls over the fabric.
Well, mine goes like this. It walks it through.
Oh, you know what? I have one where it's a wheel, and I have one where it's like it does. Yeah, the walking. I know that. Yeah. So,
And
but
I don't have a really big walking foot sewing machine. Mine, the motor is actually attached to it, sort of like a regular sewing machine, except much bigger and more heavy duty. But the bomb walking foot sewing machines are the ones where you have the sewing machine, and then you have a table that it sits on that you bolt it to, and then there's a slot in the table and a place down underneath where you put a servo motor on there, and it has a belt that goes from the servo motor up to the sewing machine, and that's how you operate the machine. It's made to sew like latigo leather and really heavy, thick leather like that.
Oh wow.
yeah, there's special machines that they have to sew industrial. Usually, industrial machines come with no motor, no table, nothing but just the
Yeah, you buy
machine.
each thing separate.
Mm-hmm. Too bad you can't just rotate the machines in and out. You know, so you just are like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna do straight stitch. Plop. Oh, I think I'm gonna do a zigzag. Plop.
Well, that's kind of what I have here. To move my regular sewing machine, that's pretty easy, but to move that walking foot, that sucker's heavy. It's like,
Yeah, we have a really old console from I think probably the 80s.
yeah, mine's a console.
It's an industrial, and that thing, let me tell you, the table is like a huge table, and we have to get a new table and a new motor and a new all that. But we have that machine, and it is heavy as heck. It weighs like 40, 50 pounds, just the machine.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have them where the, what is this thing called? Savea, the neck?
Oh, the throat.
Throat.
The throat.
Where it's really long, and you can have, it has like a plate on it where you can have it broad to lay leather on, or you can take it off, and so it's very narrow, almost like the ones where you make shoes. I mean, it's just very narrow, so they can turn the leather around making the shoes.
Yep. So there's definitely special machines to make purses and shoes and leather ones. It's all kinds of stuff.
Right. Did you find the pictures of the? Did you find the pictures of the quilts that I?
No, I didn't. I looked on what was shared, and I'm not seeing it for some reason.
It's on Google Drive.
I know.
Anyway, there's one I was hoping to be able to show you. One of my brothers passed away a few years ago, and we all went out and saw him before he passed away. All of us. There's 8 of us kids, and 5 of us were able to get out there and see him before he passed away. And he always wore Western shirts, the plaid Western shirts. And so my sister that got me into quilting and I were talking on the way back because we had driven out together. And I said, why don't we get Cecil shirts and we'll make her a quilt out of his shirts? And we did that. And we made sure like some of the material had paint spots on it. And I knew that there would be a story behind that. Like whenever we showed her after we finished, she said, oh, I love the paint spots. That's when we painted the porch. And some of them had grease on them and stuff, like, grease stains and stuff. And he always wore grays and blues, but we made a quilt out of his shirts. And she, missed him, and she said she would roll up in the quilt and it was like he was hugging her, and I thought that was so cool.
Oh,
It was neat to be a part of that.
Yeah, you can do all kinds of neat things with quilts.
Yes.
So
that's one way to use used material.
yeah, and so can you believe it? We like have already
Gosh,
been through our time. So thank you so much, Wendy, for coming on our show.
Yes, it's
Thanks for
wonderful. We
having
had a
me.
lot of fun information.
Yeah, we learned a lot about Comic-Con. And thank you
Yep.
so much, Vicki, for coming on our show and talking about quilting and the things you're working on, because that's actually a really cool art that I feel like a lot of people have lost. And it would be nice to try to see a little more resurgence of it. You know, I was hoping with the sales of all the masks that were made that people would get a little bit more of a resurgence on sewing, and it just seemed like it faded really fast.
It just dropped, right?
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of people that do quilt because there's a lot of websites. I just go to Missouri Star Quilt because they have videos that kind of show you. So if I'm not quite sure how to do something and I can't get a hold of my sister regularly, or a friend, I have a friend who we raised our kids together. And as a matter of fact, we had our last children. We were pregnant and due at the same time.
Oh wow.
And I had my son Joe, and one week later, almost to the hour, she had her daughter Carol. That's how close we were. Everybody at our friends used to say, "Do you guys do everything together?" Anyway, whenever the kids were little, if they needed a patch sewn on, for their scout uniform or something, or they lost a button, she would send them over to me and I'd do that. Well, now she does fabulous quilting, just does, and it's just amazing. So if since my sister moved to Kansas, she just lives in Thousand Palms, so she's my go-to now whenever I get stuck. So, but anyway, it's a fun thing. I always think it's crazy because, and I hate to say I'm doing quilting because I used to say I'll never quilt because you take big pieces of material and you cut it in little bitty pieces and then you sew it back together.
Right.
And then also don't let that be a deterrent because you're not necessarily sewing little squares of fabric together. There are ways to do it. So if take a look at the art of quilt, and definitely there's so many videos, there's so much information about it, and there's different ways to do quilting where it's not necessarily grandma prints. Like my friend Lorraine, she was doing quilts with she was using the novelty fabrics and she was making really cool quilts with all these novelty fabrics. Like they have such cool fabrics. They have Day of the Dead fabric, they have pinup girl fabric, they have race car fabric, they have everything.
This fabric, you can buy fabric where it's all a same theme, and this is called a jelly roll.
Yeah, jelly roll.
And this is actually Mickey Mouse. It's got Pluto and Minnie Mouse. And
Vicki, are you making me a quilt for my birthday?
Oh, Vicki, you blew it.
Well, to tell you the truth, this is for my grandson and his wife. And I wasn't sure if they wanted it. So whenever she was over here and this novice was giving her some, the beginner some points, and I was showing her how you can buy themed fabric all together. And I told her, this is a jelly roll. And then I told her there's fat quarters. The first time I heard that, I was like, what in the world is that? But it's like you can get a package where it's all like the same color theme or something like that. And,
it's a quarter of a yard.
Yes.
So it's when they say fat, instead of it being a long skinny piece, it's a wide. So it's like imagine you cut a whole yard in a quarter.
And then if you don't want to cut your squares out, you can get the ready cut in every color you can imagine. Here's a couple of them I have, and like these are all the same pattern of fabric but different colors.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if you just, it can be super easy where you just sew squares together and you don't even have to cut out your fabric.
Yep. So, with that said, this has been an awesome episode of
Late night craft talk.
Exactly. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Maya had a really good suggestion.
Oh.
She said, gives me an idea. Maybe I can find a place to give all my old special shirts to create a quilt. Yes, they have t-shirt quilting companies out there where they'll make a t-shirt quilt for you. So that is an existing thing. So, but thank you.
Well, it's kind of cool if you have a loved one that passes away. What do? You go in and clean out the closet and you take everything and give it to a thrift store.
Yep.
Or a rescue mission or something like that. But you can take the material and make yourself a quilt, and it doesn't have to be intricate. It can be just simple squares.
Yeah.
And then you have a memento that you can curl up in and feel like your loved one is still with you again.
Yep. So,
in fact, we made it a point not to even wash these shirts, so they still smelled like my brother.
Aw.
We thought about that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's been great.
Yes.
Yep, it's been fun.
Thank you, everyone, for watching our show. We're going to get ready and do our little bit of dancing. So feel free to dance with us. We always like to dance because it just helps us get our blood moving after sitting here for an hour. So
wake our backsides up.
Exactly. All right, everyone. So it's been another great episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Aw, ain't he cute?
Night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Bye.